All right, everybody, the daily update on Trump is not a Fannie Willis update today. It's a New York Stormy Daniels hush money payment update. The judge in that file, one Judge Juan, who ordered this trial to proceed on April 15th, notwithstanding the last minute tens of thousands of pages of documents dumped on Donald Trump, notwithstanding the fact that the Department of Justice had these documents for a very long period of time, did not give them to the state prosecutor, Alvin Bragg, and now, on the eve of the trial, dumped these documents, tens of thousands of pages on Trump. Trump had asked for a delay. The judge gave him a delay until April 15th. The judge is purely objective and nonpartisan whatsoever. Trump today allegedly won himself a gag order, and I'm not trying to be funny here. That's an actual headline from the New Republic. Trump wins himself a gag order after unhinged attack on judge's family. Donald Trump just keeps getting slammed in his hush money trial in New York. From the New Republic. Yeah, they should probably change their name to the New Republic of China, but they're not the only ones gleefully rejoicing in this gag order, a limitation on a defendant's right to speak publicly about his own case. There were other outlets that were equally gleeful about the tyranny, about the communism that they are ushering in to the New Republic of China in America. From the Atlanta Voice, New York judge issues gag order on Trump in hush money trial, blasting his, quote, threatening, inflammatory, denigrating, end quote, statements. From Salon, quote, intimidating the judge, end quote. Expert says Trump Truth Social post put a, quote, target, end quote, on judge's daughter. Trump could be slapped with, quote, gag order, end quote, after latest outburst, says ex-U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance. And the, quote, target on the judge's daughter was a talking point that others in the media ran with. I'll read a tweet from a journalist. From Joyce Aline, MSNBC and NBC News will tell you everything you need to know. Trump puts a target not only Judge Merchan in the criminal case in Manhattan, but on his daughter. This is a rank effort and intimidating the judge by threatening his family. It merits a gag order, but also serious pushback from GOP leadership, which we know won't come. Target on the back of the daughter, target on the back of the daughter. The media's gonna run with it. There's a great David Mamet expression that I like to use often. Every fear hides a wish. They sit around crying as though they fear this. They damn well wish it would happen. And I dare say that their tweets referring to a, quote, target on the back of the daughter is a dog whistle itself to get their lunatics to do something stupid so they can blame it on Trump. They would love for something terrible to happen so they could use it as political fodder to go after Trump. The reality of this allegedly unhinged Truth Social post, there's nothing unhinged about it. There's not putting any targets on anybody. It's just pointing out potential political bias within the family of the judge who's adjudicating the current case in New York, who hasn't been, let's just say, totally objective and totally impartial in his treatment of Trump, but that is just my humble opinion. But let's get to the Truth Social post to see this alleged target that Trump put on the judge's daughter's back. Judge Juan, a very distinguished looking man, is nevertheless a true and certified Trump hater who suffers from a very serious case of Trump derangement syndrome. In other words, he hates me. His daughter is a senior executive at a super liberal Democrat firm that works for Adam Shifty Schiff, the Democrat National Committee, Dem Senate Majority PAC, and even crooked Joe Biden. He was recently the judge on an unrelated trial of a long-term employee, elderly and not in good health. This judge treated him viciously, telling him either you cooperate or I'm putting you in jail for 15 years. He pled and went to jail for very minor offensive, highly unusual, served 4 months in Rikers, and now they are after him again, this time for allegedly lying. And they threatened him again with 15 years if he doesn't say something bad about, quote, Trump, end quote. He is devastated and scared. These country-destroying scoundrels and thugs have no case against me. Witch hunt! Exclamation point. Maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm partial, but I think Trump is right. And this is not an unhinged post. This is one expressing reasonable discontent at the state of kangaroo court lawfare that we see having been weaponized against Donald Trump. The system, the judicial system of America has been reduced to a kangaroo court system where the thugs and true tyrants of the world are looking at Joe Biden and they're taking notes. That post does not put a target on anyone's back, although the Democrats would love to turn it into that in the hopes that something bad happens so they can then run with it and claim, look at what big bad Donald Trump has done. We need an even stronger gag order. We need to put him in jail for having said something that somehow indirectly led to something that we complain about. And it seems to have worked because today Judge Merchan issued something of a gag order, something that limits Donald Trump's ability to criticize the system, criticize the players in it, call out the politicization of the system, call out the corruption. He has been been somewhat limited by this gag order that was issued today. I'll read over some of the highlights because the highlights truly are, won't somebody think of the poor court workers and the people working in the system? We can't have people talking badly about them. That might open them up to emails and naughty things on the internet. Background. Defendant is charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree in violation of Penal Law Section 1750.10. The charges arise from allegations that defendant attempted to conceal an illegal scheme to influence the 2016 presidential election. Specifically, the people claim that defendant directed an attorney who worked for his company to pay $130,000 to an adult film actress shortly before the election to prevent her from publicizing an alleged sexual encounter with defendant. It is further alleged that defendant thereafter reimbursed the attorney for the payments through a series of checks and caused business records associated with the repayment to be falsified to conceal his criminal conduct. The trial on this matter is scheduled to commence on April 15, 2024. Election interference. They are framing this indictment as election interference. My goodness, Joseph Goebbels must be laughing from hell looking at these Democrats saying they're employing this better than I could have ever thought anyone would employ this tactic of propaganda. Accuse your adversaries of what you are doing so as to create confusion. Confession through projection, as we say on this channel. Election interference. Election interference. They accuse their adversaries of election interference while they are actively engaging in election interference through every layer of this lawfare that we are seeing across the country. The court order then goes into the discussion of the law. We don't really need to get into it. Suffice to say that there are two competing interests here. Freedom of speech and the right of the defendant to speak about a case that is ongoing, and the system, preserving the integrity of the system and ensuring that the defendant's First Amendment rights don't interfere with the process of justice itself. And how do you think this is going to go? Won't someone please think of the poor court staff, the people working in this system, the people involved in this active judicial lawfare election interference? The court has an obligation to prevent outside influences, including extrajudicial speech, from disturbing the integrity of a trial. And my personal favorite, a little further down the page, yet these extrajudicial statements went far beyond defending himself against, quote, attacks, end quote, by, quote, public figures, end quote. Indeed, his statements were threatening, inflammatory, denigrating, and the targets of his statements ranged from local and federal officials, court and court staff, prosecutors and staff assigned to the cases, and private individuals, including grand jurors performing their civic duty. Duty. The consequences of those statements included not only fear on the part of the individuals targeted, but also the assignment of increased security resources to investigate threats and protect the individuals and family members thereof. Such inflammatory extrajudicial statements undoubtedly risk impeding the orderly administration of this court. The judge actually came to the conclusion that because these statements were allegedly denigrating, how one is to measure the sentiment of denigration, that the people felt targeted, that allegedly you had to increase security for alleged threats that they were allegedly getting on the interwebs, that warrants suppressing Donald Trump's First Amendment rights to speak freely, to criticize the system in the context of an election year where he is subjected to unprecedented kangaroo court levels of lawfare. Just imagine it, people. The New Republic of China must be very happy watching this. And then referencing Donald Trump's position, he supports this position by noting that he has generally refrained from making extrajudicial statements about individuals associated with the instant case, in marked contrast from the significant volume of social media posts and other statements targeting individuals involved in every other court proceeding reflected in the people's submission. The court is unpersuaded. The magic words of motivated reasoning. All the court has to say, all the judge has to say at the end of the day, after having heard all of the evidence, all of the arguments, I am unpersuaded. You, sir, shall shut your mouth. The uncontested record reflecting the defendant's prior extrajudicial statements establishes a sufficient risk to the administration of justice consistent with the standards set forth in Landmark, and there exists no less restrictive means to prevent such risk. Therefore, it is hereby ordered that the people's motion for a restriction on extrajudicial statements by the defendant is granted to the extent the defendant is directed to refrain from the following. A. Making or directing others to make public statements about known or reasonably foreseeable witnesses concerning their potential participation in the investigation or in this criminal proceeding. B. Making or directing others to make public statements about 1. Counsel in the case other than the district attorney. 2. Members of the court's staff and the district attorney's staff. Or 3. The family members of any counsel or staff member if those statements are made with the intent to materially interfere with or to cause others to materially interfere with counsel's or staff's work in this criminal case, or with the knowledge that such interference is likely to result. And C. Making or directing others to make public statements about any prospective juror or any juror in this criminal proceeding. The foregoing constitutes the decision and order of this court. On the one hand, it seems to be sufficiently restrictive in what it covers. On the other hand, it seems to be sufficiently vague and ambiguous that Who the heck knows what it means? And I want to highlight the last line of item B. Or with the knowledge that such interference is likely to result. I don't know how this is going to be interpreted. I have no idea how this is going to be enforced. My bottom line conclusion on all of this: A, it's patently preposterous. B, they are setting up a pretext to sanction Donald Trump the way they sanctioned him in the New York nipple judge Engeron case, the way they shut Alex Jones up in his case. They are setting up a pretext to impose sanctions on Donald Trump for alleged violations of these opaque terms and conditions of this court order so that they can, I don't know, deny him certain rights in the context of this criminal trial. It is ridiculous. It is basically defanging a defendant's ability to publicly call out the people who are at the heart of what this person believes to be the corruption. It is limiting free speech. It is basically denying a defendant's ability to fight in the court of public opinion. Witness intimidation, there are already laws against that. You don't need a court order specifying, reinforcing what is already illegal. But Trump going to Truth Social, pointing out potential family political bias, that is fair game ordinarily, but not in this commie court system of the state of New York. Get your stuff and get the hell out of New York, people. It's not too late. Get out of New York. But that is the court order. I said it before. I'll say it again. They are getting ready to Alex Jones, Donald Trump yet again. We will see where this goes. We'll see if this trial even starts on April 15th. I'm predicting it will not start on April 15th because I think there will be consequences from the last minute document dump that we have not yet seen. We will see. But for the time being, Judge Juan Merchan has proven himself to be the politically biased, corrupt judge that he is. We'll see where this goes. If you like what I do, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop a comment in the comment section below. Viva Frei on Rumble, the Viva Frei on Twitter, vivabarneslaw.locals.com for a ton of exclusive content if you want to support what we do. But more important than anything, get out there, exercise, eat healthy, talk to people in real life, and now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps.